This is Klicker Notes Chapter 3, Muscles of the Cranium, Face, and Neck. This is restorative art for the Sciences section of the National Board Exam to help us study. This material is incredibly dense, so I had to break down the Klicker Notes into bite-sized pieces. We're going to have to attack this very slow. It was almost impossible for me to find anything that could be helpful for remembering these things, and all I really have is everything turned into buttholes, and there's some murderous debauchery. This is my gift. It's all I got. It's all I could come up with. If you have something better, please make a study video. Until then, you've been warned. I'm probably going to cuss a lot too, because this stuff makes me so angry. It's so ridiculous. So please wear an earbud. You've been warned. Key terms to help you identify parts of the facial features. Oculi is eye. Oculi, eye. Oculi, eye. Oris is mouth. Oris is mouth. Nasi is nose. Nasi is nose. Labii is lip. Labii is lip. Orb means round, like sphincter muscle. Orb means round, like sphincter muscle. Hence, buttholes. Buttholes everywhere. Levator means raises or elevates. So, the orbicularis oculi. You see orb, round, sphincter muscle. Oculi, eye. This is the sphincter muscle around the eye. It's a round sphincter muscle. It is a butthole on your face with an eyeball in the center of it. It's a normal eye instead of a brown eye. It's a real eye that moves around and looks at you like a horror movie. It's the muscle that closes the eyelids and compresses the lacrimal sacs. What are the lacrimal sacs? They are part of the tear drainage system, also called lacrimal apparatus. They are temporary tear reservoirs after leaving the surface of the eye through small holes called puncta, almost like punta, puncta, with C, puncta. From lacrimal sacs, tears flow to the nasolacrimal ducts, which are fancy bullshit word for tear ducts. Nasolacrimal ducts are tear ducts, even though there's naso in it, I guess because it drains into the nasal cavity. So, orbicularis oculi. The sphincter that encircles the eye, closes the eyelids, and compresses the lacrimal sacs. The orbicularis oculi forms the optic facial sulci, crow's feet. Optic facial sulci, crow's feet, formed by this eye butthole muscle. In the crow's feet, the optic facial sulci are acquired. The definition is optic facial sulci are furrows radiating from lateral outer corner of the eye. The orbicularis oculi is responsible for crow's feet, optic facial sulci, acquired from contractions of orbicularis oculi. Crow's feet are acquired from you puckering your eye butthole muscle. Optic facial sulci. Butthole clenching furrows. Crow's feet. Furrows radiating from lateral corner. It is also called the furrows of age because it's acquired furrows of age. Sulcis of age. You can call it the butthole puckering size of age acquired by this. All right, moving on. Angulus oris sulcus. Angulus equals angle. Angulus equals angle. Oris equals mouth. Sulcus equals groove or furrow or wrinkle. So, angulus oris sulcus, angle of mouth groove, a natural facial marking. Sulcuses are natural facial markings. A groove found at each end of the line of mouth closure. The muscle responsible for the angulus oris sulcus mouth closure groove is depressor labii inferioris. So maybe we can come up with some dumb shit like angulus got groovy with a depressed inferior labii and frowned or something. I really got nothing for this bullshit. The depressor labii inferioris is called depressor because it pulls down like a frown. Labii means lips. It's our frowny face lips when you see depressor labii inferioris. Inferioris because the muscle is below the mouth on the sides, which is lateral. Lateral, inferior, inferioris, bullshitatoris. Angulus oris sulcus is angle of mouth groove, the line found at each end of line of mouth closure. And the muscle responsible is the depressor labii inferioris, all about frowning. Depressor anguli oris, another depressy, stressy, frowny muscle. It depresses, depressor. It's at an angle, anguli, and it's at the mouth because oris. The definition is a muscle of facial expression that arises from the mandible to insert into the anguli oris, which is just fancy bullshit for angle of the mouth. So let me say that bullshit again in English. Muscle of facial, the depressor anguli oris is a muscle of facial expression that arises from the mandible to insert into the angle of the mouth. It's two muscles, also known as triangularis. Depressor anguli oris is also interchangeably called triangularis, as if it doesn't sound dumb enough as it is and ridiculous enough as it is. Depressor anguli oris triangularis. It's inferior to the lateral portion of the mouth, which just means inferior, it's towards the bottom. Lateral, it's to the sides. It's the bottom side muscle of the mouth. And it emphasizes the presence of the angulus oris eminence, which we'll get to that later. The columna nasi, we know that it's about the nose because nasi is nose. Columna is Latin bullshit for column. So column of nose. The only thing that even remotely resembles a column of nose is your nose holes. Anyway, the definition is the fleshy termination of the nasal septum at the base of the nose, located between nostrils, the most inferior part of the mass of the nose. It's where your nose holes come together, at the lowest part under the tip of your nose. Muscles responsible for influencing the form of the columna nasi is the orbicularis oris, not to be confused with the orbicularis oculi. This is the orbicularis oris. The orb of the oculi, remember, is the eye sphincter. And orbicularis oris is the mouth sphincter. Eye butthole and now mouth butthole. Both can squeeze and pucker, which is what a sphincter is. But the mouth sphincter influences the shape of your nose holes. Columna nasi. There it is. Orbicularis oris, sphincter muscle around the mouth that influences the shape of your nose holes. And orbicularis oculi. See how they're both round? They both can squeeze shut. It's so important to pay close attention to orb versus oculi. There's a breakdown of these words. The philtrum is also in the nasi realm, but it doesn't have nasi in it. Why? Because then this Latin bullshit would make sense. So philtrum is in the nasi category. The philtrum is a natural marking. Philtrum is a natural marking. It's the vertical groove located medially in the middle of the superior upper lip and extends beneath the columni nasi and margin of the red lip. The philtrum itself is not a muscle, but it's intricately connected to the muscles surrounding the mouth and plays a role in facial expressions and movements involving the upper lip. So the philtrum is like the little water slide on your upper lip under your columna nasi down to the cupid's bow on the top of your lip. Philtrum, the nasal water slide to the lip. I wish I could make it rhyme, but Latin is bullshit, so that's the best I got. All right, so quadratus labii superioris is also called levator labii superioris. Quadratus labii superioris is the same as levator labii superioris. Quadratus means quadrilateral or roughly square-shaped. Labii means lips. Superioris means upper mouth or superior mouth. Hence, quadratus, square-shaped, labii, lip, superioris, upper. So you know this is the square-shaped muscle on the upper part of the lip. Levator, labii superioris, you know it's the muscle, the lip, on the upper part that lifts, because levator means it lifts. So this muscle is responsible for the nasolabial sulcus, which is an acquired marking. So the nasolabial sulcus is an acquired marking. Naso means nose, labial means lips, sulcus means groove, furrow, or wrinkle. Sulcus is always acquired because it's a groove is always acquired. Furrow and wrinkle is acquired with age. When it says fold, fold is natural. So this is nasolabial sulcus. It means nose lip groove. The furrow or wrinkle lying medial or middle and adjacent to the nasolabial fold. The nasolabial fold is almost identically in the same spot, but it's where it's natural. It's not accentuated and deeper from age. That is nasolabial fold. That is nasolabial sulcus. And that quadratus labii superioris muscle, or levator labii superioris, this one, levator labii superioris, is responsible for this wrinkle. So, levator means lift, labii means lip, superioris means upper. So this is lifting the upper lip. You can see this man's stank face here from him lifting the upper lip. And you can see the quadrilateral shape of this muscle that lifts the upper lip. Now, to me, this is the face that you make when you're about to do a big, nasty crop dust on an unsuspecting couple in the grocery store. So, to remember where that muscle is and what it looks like, remember the stank face for lifting your lip to lift a butt cheek to do a stank nasty crop dust. And you can see when you make that stank face and lift up that lip, you get that wrinkle. And you know that that wrinkle is both natural and also acquired. You know, I guess if you shit on too many people in the grocery store walking around crop dusting people, it ages you faster from using that muscle too much. So the nasolabial fold is, even though it looks like it's in the same place, it's different from the sulcus. The nasolabial fold is the natural anterior, which means to the front of the body, fold of the cheek, which descends laterally, meaning along the side, along the upper lip from the wing of the nose. What is the wing of the nose? That's your fucking nose flaring. That's your flare of your nose. But for some reason, these assholes want to call it the wing. It's the flare. Now we're on to orb. Orb, everything that says orb means round, is usually a sphincter. It's not always a sphincter, but it's round or it's a sphincter. There's buttholes everywhere. But the orb muscles really act more like sally ports in a jail, I guess. You shall not pass if the sphincter does not pucker for you. That's orb. Some are one way, some are two way, and some, like the eyeballs, the orbicularis oculi, are no way because it's got an eyeball in it, right? But it's still a sphincter, it's still a round sphincter muscle. The eye socket is also called the orbital cavity because orb also means round. It's not always a butthole. You know that it's not a muscle or a marking because it says cavity. So orb just means round cavity in this context. Supraorbital margin is the superior rim of the eye socket. Margin, for some stupid ass reason, means rim. It couldn't just be the supraorbital rim, it has to be the supraorbital margin. It's code word for rim of the eye socket, I guess, because people have things about the rims of holes and they have to hide their kinks or something. That's really all I can imagine, because why margin when it's the rim? Remember it however you want. Margin means rim. Supraorbital margin, eye socket rim, and it's also called the frontal bone. Now, this really gets into kinky code language for this hole in our face. I mean, it is our eye buttholes, so I mean, it's like, people are fucking weird. I mean, nothing surprises me anymore. So I wouldn't imagine. I bet the Latin asshole that spoke Latin and came up with this bullshit had some kind of freaking thing about holes in the face. I don't know. The supraorbital margin is code word for the eye hole rim, superior eye hole rim with the front bone. It's also the frontal bone. It's bullshit language you have to remember any way you can. So here we go. The supraorbital margin gets the rim with the front bone. Remember that the supraorbital margin is also called the frontal bone. Now, when I was much younger, I had a group of fucked up friends who conned me into watching one of the most terrible, traumatizing, psychological horror type torture porn bullshit movies I've ever seen in my life. And the only part of that movie that was anything other than terrible was at the end when the main character killed a bad guy by jamming his boner into his eye socket. And this movie was from Serbia. If you know, you know. If you don't, I ain't saying the name of the evilest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. And we're going to leave it at that. But for purposes of this, supraorbital Serbian margin, eye socket rim and frontal bone. The superior rim of the eye socket gets the frontal bone. Frontal is the frontal bone, and it's the eye socket rim. Supraorbital Serbian margin. I hope that helps. Moving on from murderous debauchery. Levator, raises or elevates. Levator palpebrae superioris is a muscle of facial expression that raises the upper eyelid. Levator palpebrae superioris forms the palpebral fold across the superior palpebrae. So levator palpebrae superioris forms the palpebral fold across the superior palpebrae. Remember, folds are natural and sulci are acquired wrinkles, furrows, grooves. In restorative art, the levator palpebrae superioris is sometimes severed to help close the eyelid. We know levator raises and that the upper eyelid is what will be a pain about closing because it's stuck in the up position. So we know this is the muscle that is sometimes severed to lower the eyelid. It's used as a last resort and requires authorization. Levator palpebrae superioris. Levator anguli oris. So just looking at that, we know it raises. Levator raises. Anguli, different spin on angulus, but it's the same bullshit. It's at an angle. Anguli is an angle. Oris is the mouth. So raises at an angle of the mouth. The definition is a small muscle at the angle of the mouth. It elevates the angle of the mouth. This is actually two muscles located in the area of the canine teeth. If you look at the picture on the screen, you can see the levator anguli oris and how it is angled against the corner of the mouth. It's not directly at the corner like the buccinator, but it's angled upwards at the corner, and you can see how there it'll be right above the canine teeth. Otherwise, it's just hard to imagine it if you don't look at the picture. This is the muscle of facial expression, which elevates the angle of the mouth, hence levator anguli oris, elevates the angle of the mouth. This muscle emphasizes the presence of the nasolabial fold and angulus oris eminence. Eminence means a protrusion, projection, or prominence. Eminence. In English, eminence is some Queen's English bullshit for like his or her eminence or whatever. Prominence of social whatever. Here, eminence just means protrusion, projection, prominence, like sticking out. Angulus oris eminence, or anguli oris eminence. So you see angulus or anguli, it's close enough to angle, means angle. Oris means mouth. and eminence, projection or prominence. This is the small convex prominence lateral to the end of the line of lip closure of the mouth. So the small convex, which is curved like the outside of a sphere, is what convex is, curved like the outside of a sphere, lateral to the sides to the end of the line of lip closure of the mouth. So angulus, oris, eminence, angle of the mouth, protrusion. The small, curved like outside of a sphere to the side, to the end of the line of lip closure of the mouth. It is a projection on the cheek adjacent to the corners of the mouth. This extends from the superior part of the posterior margin, which just means towards the back of the wing of the nose, to the side of the mouth. Extends from upper part of furthest forward margin of nostril flare to side of mouth, basically. This is why it's the depressy, stressy, angle oris. We'll just call it the angle oris. You know, they want to make up words. Why not? Depressy, stressy, angle oris, and superior angle oris emphasizes the angle oris eminence. Yeah. That is it. Hope this was helpful.